Hi, I'm Nate Wakeford, your masculinity and mindset coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about tension and why it's so important as a framed man to be able to hold tension in your interactions. See, what most weaker men do is the moment they experience any sort of tension, they seek to alleviate it. So whether there's the possibility of conflict, whether it's arousal and sexual tension, often the weaker man seeks to alleviate that tension immediately. The framed man understands that when he is in his authentic alignment, when he is in polarity, there is going to be tension. Tension, think of the energy. It's a potency of energy that's available in an interaction. It can create moments of discomfort. If you think about when you're working at a gym, when your muscles are under tension, they're creating growth, but it can be uncomfortable. See, the weaker framed man will seek to diminish or reduce discomfort as quickly as possible. Whereas a framed man knows that he is evoking energy when he is in tension. He's in connection when there's tension. He's in polarity when there's tension. There are many different types of tension that can be created. I've already mentioned a few of them. Let's talk about tension with women. See, an unframed man does not like to be in uncertainty or ambiguity, does not like to be at risk of losing attention or affection. And so an unframed man, in the way that he relates to the feminine, he will constantly find himself moving towards the woman. He will find himself making concessions. He will find himself doing things like apologizing even when he hasn't done anything wrong. He will find himself trying to adapt and conform to what he thinks the woman might have as a preference. This means that the man doesn't have a strong center. This also means that he's not able to hold his center in moments of discomfort, which shows that he has a weak sense of self. And shows, as you might have heard in my previous videos, that he's externally referenced, that he's not the prize. A woman, one of her strategies to find out how strong a man is and if it's a man that she can trust, if it's a man that she can lead her, she will test him by pulling away a little bit. She'll test him by challenging him to see if he respects himself, to see if he stands up for himself, to see if he's committed to his own path or is easily deviated from his path. She needs to do so because she's trying to determine whether or not she should invest more of her energy into this man. And if he fails his tests, he's showing that he's not capable of leading her. He's showing that his status isn't equal or above hers. And these are very important things for the feminine. The feminine doesn't want to experience less well-being in the presence of a man. She wants to experience more well-being in the presence of a man. And the man's ability to create and hold tension is part of that. A high-value man will create tension by the way he looks at a woman, through his insinuations or innuendo, through his willingness to lean back physically. And if he's really confident, he'll be playful with it. And immediately the woman knows that if a man's playful with tension, that he has mastered this area of his life, and that's tremendously appealing and attractive to the feminine. If you're a man who's constantly trying to validate himself to a woman, trying to please, trying to get her attention, trying to buy her acceptance, then you will not have the long-term respect of that woman. She may see you as an opportunity for providership, but she won't be really turned on by you, and she's unlikely to respect you if you're someone who in some way has to compensate for your own lack of esteem, your lack of authority, lack of value that you hold within yourself. And if that's the case, I strongly recommend you come back to yourself. You start to build yourself as a high-value man, and the moment that you know that you've accomplished something extraordinary, especially in relationship to other men, you will start to give off a certain aura, a certain presence especially in comparison with other men. And because those men will be looking up to you, they'll be respecting you, and you don't do it for their validation or attention. It's just the authentic recognition of you having built yourself up into becoming an extraordinary man. Once you have that, then you are, through your actions, through your words, communicating that you don't really need validations, approval, or acceptance from anyone external, which automatically places you into a position of abundance, which automatically has you having a greater ability to hold tension, because when someone pulls away from you, your life is already full. You've already got high value men and women around you. So therefore, when someone's testing you, you pass those tests quite easily because you've built yourself up into this high value man. Another element, if you think energetics, is to hold your center, to not fall into the frame of another person, man or woman. When you have an insecurity or something you deny within yourself, it's much easier to get attached to someone. It's much easier to fall into the frame of someone because you believe subconsciously that they have something that you don't have yourself. So if you're holding shame, if you're holding low esteem, and you believe someone can provide that to you, then you have something to lose. So therefore you try to hold on, you become attached to this external reference for the supply of what you are denying within yourself. That can only ever be temporary, and you're always in an unstable and precarious position because the moment that person withdraws what they were giving to you, they have control over you, and you will go into a fear response and scramble to try and keep it because it's not something within inside of yourself that you have an infinite and abundant supply of. Of course, the opposite is true for a high value man who sources the foundations of what he needs from within. He has built up his own confidence. He's built up his own esteem. He's built up his own authority. So he doesn't need to seek it externally. This is why it's so important for a man to build himself up in his masculine frame, to build his own internal authority, his internal frame of reference, to come into discipline, in integrity with himself, and in alignment with his path, his mission, his purpose, one that's fulfilling and divinely granted to him, because when he's on that committed path, he's less likely to be deviated into these areas of distraction, of seeking outside of self to compensate for the lack of fulfillment, the lack of success and accomplishment that he would otherwise be experiencing if he was truly committed to himself and his higher path and trajectory in life. So if you're a man who finds himself lacking clarity, lacking direction in life, who's seeking outside of himself, I strongly recommend that you start a rite of passage. I created a modern day rite of passage. I share this within my Sovereign Brotherhood. It's a school community. The details are in the captions below this video. And if you want a more accelerated path, I also offer group and one-to-one coaching. Again, you can reach out to me, book a 15-minute coffee chat. The details, again, are in the captions below. And we can accelerate your path towards developing a masculine frame, to building your own internal authority and internal frame of reference, such that you can create tension, start to have more confidence in your interactions with women, and start to be able to hold yourself with presence and in a way where you show yourself to be the chief and commander in the creation of your reality. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.